Welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report, episode 371. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the JP8 report. As I get everything set up here, hope everybody's having a great day. And you know what? I forgot what I named. Biden DOJ weaponized the FACE Act on pro-life protesters. I should, because I got it laying right here. All right, I forgot to write it in here, but I typed it in. I'm sorry about that. All right, so I hope everyone's having a good morning. Don't forget to click that follow button and give us a like, please. Got another follower this morning, which is awesome. We're up to 144. We're inching our way up. 150 would be great to have this week. Good afternoon, Covite for Life. He just logged in over on the live chat. That's be my next avenue right there. It's like if you are able during the live to chat with us, go for it. We got me and him in there. It'd be good to have other people in there. We can chat, have a good time, and make this hour go by pretty quick. All right. So thank you all very much. Don't forget, follow, like, and chat. Follow, like, and chat. All right. All right. So let's move on. America 250. This morning I read the first part of the letter from John Adams to Abigail Adams for the 14th of April, 1776. Now for the second half. And if you wasn't watching the TV before I logged in here, there's a very big news conference going on. Well, it just finished about Eric Swalwell, some of his accusers. If this stuff is true, he is in trouble. And we're going to read a little bit about it in just a few minutes and stuff, okay? Okay, so the letter, the second part of the letter. Your description of your gaieté de cœur charms me. I have no idea what gaieté de cœur means, but it charms him. Thanks be to God, you have just cause to rejoice, and may the bright prospect be obscured by no cloud. As to declarations of independency, be patient. Read our privateering laws and our commercial laws. What signifies a word? As to your extraordinary code of laws, I cannot but laugh. We have been told that our struggle has loosened the bands of government everywhere, that children and apprentices were disobedient, the schools and colleges were grown turbulent, the Indians slighted their guardians, and they say Negroes were insolvent to their masters. But your letter was the first imitation that other tribe, more numerous and powerful than all the rest, were grown discontented. This is rather to a course of compliment, but you are so saucy, I won't blot it out. Depend on it. We know better than to reveal our masculine systems, though. Remember, this is from John Adams, okay? Our masculine systems, although they are in full force, and you know they're a little more than a theory. We dare not exert our power in it full latitude. We are obliged to go fair and softly, and to practice, you know, we are the subjects. We only have the name of our masters, and rather than give up this, we would completely subject us to despotism of the petticoat. I hope General Washington and our brave heroes would fight. I am very sure of a good politician would plot as long as he could against despotism, empire, monarchy, aristocracy, oligarchy, and autocracy. It's a fine story indeed. I begin to think the ministry, as deep as they are wicked, after stirring up Tories, land jobbers, trimmers, bigots, Canadians, Indians, Negroes, Hanoverians, Hessians, Russians, Irish, Roman Catholics, Scotch renegades. In the last, they will have stimulated the demand new privileges and threatened to rebel. All right, so that's a little bit of a letter from John Adams to his wife, Abigail Adams, on this date. It was all right. I thought it was a little bit more. We scanned through it the first time, but there was some stuff in there. All right. Alrighty. So as we march forward to the JP8 report, we have the Iran update, Operation Epic Fury, day 7 of the ceasefire. A new round of talks may be Thursday. The president was saying this morning, and I just read it. It'll probably be in Islamabad again. All right. And I don't know who the attendees would be if there is. They didn't say. The blockade has cost Iran $400 million per day. The blockade started yesterday, on Monday. There's Israeli-Lebanese talks in D.C. today, and they're headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And the fighting between Israel and Hezbollah has cost the lives within the last couple of days of 150 Hezbollah fighters and 1 IDF soldier, 3 wounded. And Iran wants compensation from Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, Jordan, and the United Arab Emirates. Okay, so and then Brent crude oil, as of about an hour ago, was trading at $95.76 a barrel. That's down almost $3 from this morning. And then West Texas Intermediate was trading at $89.24 a barrel, and that's down about $3.25 per barrel since this morning. And the stock market right now is trading at 48,493.50 cents. That's plus 275 points, right? So that's your Iran update for right now. Let's keep going forward. What do we got here? We got a few viewers, 1 chatter, 2 besides me. All right. So this morning I was talking a little bit how the Biden Department of Justice weaponized the FACE Act to give longer sentence to pro-lifers, and they looked over the records of 700,000 cases, and then they put it into an 882-page document, and they pushed it out at about 6 o'clock this morning so the whole world can see. Right? I barely was able to print this off before I came into the morning brief. Right? Didn't even have it written down. I just slid into the slide deck and got rolling. All right, so under President Biden or President Autopin, it says the Department of Justice under President Joe Biden withheld evidence and approved aggressive arrest tactics when targeting pro-life defendants, and then slapped them with longer prison sentences than pro-abortion ones, according to explosive internal review released this morning. It says Tuesday here, but it'll be this morning. The Department of Justice revealed the stunning abuses in a nearly 900-page report in examining more than 700 cases related to the Biden administration's prosecutions under the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. The 1994 law, that's 32 years old, was passed to protect access to houses of worship, religious institutions, abortion clinics, and pregnancy resource centers. But the Biden DOJ was found to have engaged multiple times in biased enforcement of it, while also collaborating with and even seeking to fund pro-life groups according to the Department of Justice Legal Policy Report. Now, before I go any further, you're going to hear some of these organizations that the Biden administration consulted with. Okay? So the former Attorney General Merrick Garland set up a national task force to pursue cases against pro-lifers the month after the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade in June 2022. That would be the Dobbs Act, right? Emails show the task force led by Civil Division Attorney Sanjay Patel worked closely with Planned Parenthood Federation of America, the Feminist Majority Foundation, and the National Abortion Federation's security team to initiate investigations and monitor pro-life activists, sometimes for years before requesting arrest warrants and filing charges. Under a state of complete surveillance, that's what it was. In a November 17th, 2021 email before the task force was launched, Patel had already praised the National Abortion Foundation Security Director, Michelle Davidson, to colleagues as an MVP in bringing incidents to my attention, often in real time, which usually result in investigation/prosecution. The task force director was not nearly as chummy with the defense counsel as one of the pro-lifers indicted for illegally blocking access to an abortion clinic after the Dobbs decision, writing in February 22nd, 2023, email that he didn't keep the kind of records a lawyer requested about the total number of prosecutions for vandalisms of pregnancy centers. He said that was false. The Department of Justice, the Trump DOJ review found that he had already forwarded substantial identical information to the NAF, that National Abortion Foundation. I'm saying that because NAF means other things too. Another case, U.S. versus, what was that? Hold on just a second. Give me a second here. I'm not used to seeing email from this person in the middle of the day. Refresh. Oh, no. Okay. I'm back. It was an extra article. All right. Another case, U.S. versus Sasdro, saw Biden DOJ prosecutors seeking an indirect way to get some more information about religion without directly asking it, leading to a handful of Christian jurors being flagged for peremptory for cause strikes from the jury pool because of their faith. And according to the draft voir dire documents and subsequent review, another draft document from the Biden-era prosecutors referred to the Christian pro-lifers as culty. That's quote unquote culty, before swapping out for a less offensive term so as to appeal the Catholic magistrate judge who they griped had taken up the case. Unfortunately, we ended up with a very Catholic magistrate on duty this week, and he was very particular about the bond conditions, and he was not infringing on anyone's First Amendment rights. So the Assistant U.S. Attorney Carlson wrote on March 10, 2023. I'm reading too fast. Okay. And then it says Patel also prodded his team following a Planned Parenthood referral to pursue what looked like a felony face matter involving pro-life activist Mark Houck per an October 18, 2021 email on the day that he shoved an employee for the abortion advocacy group who harassed his son. And this keeps going and on and on. man. So there's 882 pages in this. It says here the Biden DOJ also like to seek higher prison sentences against pro-lifers charged with non-violent FACE Act violations. On average, its prosecutors sought 26.8 months in prison for a pro-life defendant compared to 12.3 months for an average pro-abortion one. So basically, if you're pro-life, you got twice the prison term as a pro-choice person. Judges also sentenced those pro-lifers at higher rates, 14 months to 3 months. President Trump, on his third day in office, signed pardons for 23 pro-lifers convicted of FACE Act violations under the prior administration. Many who he said were elderly and should not have been prosecuted. Houck was acquitted by a federal jury in January 2023 and later reached a settlement with the Biden DOJ. The department will not tolerate a two-tiered justice system, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said this morning. No department should conduct themselves with selectively prosecution based on their beliefs. So what they were doing, they were going there and kind of slicky saying, hey, do you go to church? Hey, what kind of church you go to? And then, hey, what's your belief in this? And then what they would do, they'd go in there and say, hey, we need you to dismiss this juror and this juror and this juror. And you can't say based on their religious beliefs, but you can make up excuses of why that juror is to be dismissed. And that's what they were doing. But the fact is that Merrick Garland was allowing federal convictions twice the span for a pro-life defendant as per a pro-choice defendant, right? Okay, I understand. Okay, so next on our list is Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez are supposed to be resigning from office today. I haven't heard any difference if they are or not. Like I was saying a while ago, there was a news conference with several young ladies that were accusing him of sexual assault, which is a bad issue he's got, right? And before we forget, don't forget today. Don't forget tomorrow is taxes are due tomorrow. So if you're not close to getting your taxes done, you need to submit that 1040X for an extension. All right, and they'll accept it like that, and it'll push you all the way to October 15th if they accept your extension. All right, so Eric Swalwell announced he would resign his congressional seat on Monday on the heels of multiple bombshell reports last Friday that forced him to drop out to become the next governor of California. While Democrats fell short of calling on Swalwell to resign his seat, the Chronicle, that'd be San Francisco Chronicle, scathing report left a wave of Swalwell colleagues rescinding their support on his campaign, including former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi urged the consideration of the accusations against Swalwell to take place outside the context of his campaign. And I agree with that. Another thing to think about also before we get into Tony Gonzalez is that I heard this morning on Vince, and it made complete sense. And he went through an article, and I looked and couldn't find it. But what he was saying, did you know that his best friend, and he said Senator Ruben Gallego was his best friend in the world. And they went and did everything, even though one was in the House and one was in the Senate, right? They were both Democrats. Ruben Gallego is a former Marine, and he got his start in politics when Gabby Giffords was shot down in Tucson several years ago, right? And she couldn't continue on in Congress until after her term, and so he ran in her stead, right? And then several years later, he got elected, and several years later, he ran and got elected as the U.S. Senate. I believe he got elected in 2022 or 2024. I think it was 2024, right? All right. But what you don't know about Ruben Gallego was that also, while he was a congressman, his wife was a Phoenix city councilwoman, and she was pregnant, and it was his child. And the day that she was due, he surprisingly served her with divorce papers. Okay. This was all in the print. We saw this in writing this morning on the Vince show. And go back and watch it, and you'll see what he's talking about. And he did not even tell her he was serving her, and he wanted her to pay support for him. And then also, within a year of him getting divorced from her, no, serving her the divorce papers, he married some 18-year-old girl or something like that, in lieu of his wife. All right, so that's how that goes. So I'm wondering, is even Ruben Gallego, when he runs for re-election, is he even going to get re-elected in the first place? Because there's people behind the scenes right now in Arizona, like Note 1, Note 2, Note 3, Note 4, Note 5, Note you're not going to get re-elected. We need a new candidate. Okay, so not all the balls are going to fall right now. There's going to be one or two a few years from now when Rubin runs for re-election, if he runs for re-election. And then the next person we got here is Tony Gonzalez. And Tony Gonzalez, Army veteran, right? And it doesn't say that we're perfect. We're just veterans, right? And I believe he served 20 years in the Army and retired, I think, or 20 plus years. But he had an affair, and the lady that he had an affair with set herself on fire last year and killed herself. So he got in a mix with the primary with what's his name, Brandon Herrera, right? Brandon Herrera almost won outright the primary, but couldn't get 50% plus one. So it threw the race into the runoff, which is May 26th here in Texas. Well, after the shoe fell, like last week or week before last, he decided that he was going to drop out of the primary and just ride it to the January and finish up his tour, right? Well, yesterday, Anna Paulina Luna, she's a congresswoman from Florida, told him if they would not resign, they were going to get expunged from the Senate and the House. So yesterday, Eric Swalwell announced that he was resigning from Congress, and then an hour and a half later, Mr. Gonzalez announced that he was going to do the same thing, but his was going to be today. Now, he said that he was going to submit his retirement for the day. So it was like, what does the word retire mean, right? That's what you got to wonder about. Now, I don't know what the time. I got too busy doing stuff this morning, but what is the time frame? What's the minimum time frame that is needed in the state of Texas and in California to initiate a special election to replace a congressman? Because I'm saying this is we already had the primary, and we're about to have a runoff here in Texas, right? So you have if you have a special election, you got to give time for the special election. Then you have the election, and then what if no one gets 50%? It got to be extended, or they'll do a jungle election like they usually do. But still, you're looking at least about four months away at least, right? So if we're in April, so May, June, July, August, mid-August is 4 months. So September, and then you're almost a month away from early voting. So this person, if they got elected, would only be in office maybe before election day about 3 weeks, maybe, right? So is it even beneficial to replace those two people, Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez? And then also at the same time, you got McCormick from Florida and you got Corey Mills from Florida also that are very high up in the ladder of getting expelled from Congress. We'll see about that one, right? So that is what's going on between these guys. I'm sure. Well, it says 2 p.m. Okay, so what Ledger Fernandez said in New Mexico, he has. Said that Tony Gonzalez has until 2 p.m. today when we filed his expulsion. So that would be 1 p.m. That's 30 minutes from now. If he has not resigned within 30 minutes from now, they're going to file the expulsion. And so she said, he better write that resignation effective immediately, Ledger Fernandez wrote on social media. And it says he first admitted an affair with Santos Aviles during a radio interview in March after repeatedly denying the existence of a sexual relationship. Hold on just a second here. I'm going to go to Fox News. I'm going to refresh and see what we get. Okay, so woman details assault allegations against as disgraced Dim resigns from Congress. Okay, so I'm going to click. Hold on just a second, people. Give me a second here. Swalwell, Gonzalez, and okay, woman accuses Swalwell of rape in 2018, saying she will file police report. Good job. Most definitely. And then accuses attorney calls Swalwell's statement a slap in the face to the victims. That's right. And that was Lona Drews who said that. Her lawyer is Lisa Bloom. Okay, let's see. Swalwell's fall from grace. Pelosi, Speaker Johnson calls reps Swalwell and Gonzalez appropriate. House Speaker Mike Johnson said Tuesday that Swalwell and Gonzalez made the right decision by resigning. I do, Johnson said when asked whether the lawmakers acted appropriately. My views have been known about the terrible allegations that were made and obvious the facts that were admitted to, and I think it was the appropriate thing. Johnson did not elaborate further, notably because two more House members face allegations of impropriety, but his comments are clear endorsement of the departures that lawmakers face scrutiny. Yep. Okay, so I'm looking on here. I cannot find if they 1 hour ago, GOP Representative Anna Paulina Luna gives Swalwell 2 p.m. deadline to formally resign or face expulsion push. This was from an hour ago. Luna escalated pressure on Eric Swalwell on Tuesday, saying she would continue pursuing a House expulsion resolution if Swalwell had not formally resigned with the clerk by 2 p.m. If Congressman Swalwell has not resigned with the clerk's House by 2 p.m. today, I will continue my resolution regarding his expulsion. Luna wrote Tuesday morning on X, echoing a contrast from a Democrat House member on Representative Tony Gonzalez of Texas. His statement about his plan to resign his seat is not binding and is wormy. The same goes for Tony. Both announced their plans to leave Congress as lawmakers face expulsion. So I want to know, are they still eligible to receive their congressional retirement after they leave office? That's a legitimate question to ask because nobody is saying anything. I want to know that. I want to know that, and I want Fuller got sworn in today too, so we gained a Republican. But I want to know. Are they going to receive their congressional retirement? And two, is it too late to have a special election to replace them in Congress? Those are the two questions. And I'm not seeing that they have acknowledged that at all. I see the article here by Ms. Fernandez giving Gonzalez the 2 p.m. deadline, and that was 2 hours ago. I don't see nothing else in there. If anyone else has seen it, please tell me in the chat if that is happening, right? I'm going to go to New York Post and see if they got anything in there. Let's see. Ein Moment bitte. I'm not seeing that they've changed. That was I don't know. If someone sees that in there, please let me know, okay? That's good to know. Hey Google, has Eric Swalwell filed his resignation letter from Congress to the House clerk? Okay, it says here, Eric Swalwell announced his intent to resign Monday, April 13th, following sexual misconduct allegations, but as early Tuesday, April 14th, he has not yet filed a formal binding letter with the House clerk, and it says he's got till 2 p.m. Eastern. Okay, and so we will see about that one, won't we? Man, Google can be fun sometimes. All right. So they have 27 minutes to effectively and formally resign from Congress. All right. Next is, let me mark through these. All right. So the DC Court of Appeals on, hold on just a second. My wife just sent me a text message. No problem. All right. So the D.C. Court of Appeals on Saturday cleared the way for President Donald Trump to temporarily resume construction of the planned White House ballroom, granting a near-term win to the administration as it pushes forward with the nearly $400 million project. The case stems from a lawsuit filed late last year for the National Trust and Historic Preservation. I never heard of them. which sought to block the construction. So a lower court ruled last month to put the project on hold, and the D.C. Court of Appeals they ruled 2-1 to allow it to temporarily go forward. The reason for the temporary to go forward while they were reviewing it more fully, because there's hush-hush type projects going on in the vicinity of the East Ballroom. If you can read into that, if you know, you know. All right. So they got to get that stuff covered up so inquiring minds and eyes and satellites don't see what's going on around there. All right. If you know, you know. All right. So so I don't know what the deal is, why these people are preventing. I think it's just, and the judge that ruled was, the initial one was Richard Leon, and he was a George Bush appointee. Okay, just think about it. It's not all Democrat judges. Just because you're appointed by a left-leaning or right-leaning president doesn't mean you'll always rule like that. All right. So does it say in here when the next when they're next going to rule on it? It does not. The National Trust, meanwhile, maintains the project cannot move forward without complying with federal law and proper review process. Yeah. So what that means is you got to have a union contract, extremely high wages to drive the cost extremely high, and where nobody can afford to do anything. And it takes 10 years to do it because you can only work so many hours a day to build it. So what that does is build job security in there and milks money out of the taxpayers. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I think about the whole thing, right? All right. So you got that done. So did y'all hear about Turning Point USA? I got 2 deals here on Turning Point USA here. I just saw Savannah Hernandez on Fox just a few minutes ago. She was the young lady that was assaulted the other day, right? New York Post. Hold on just a second here. New York City strap hanger stabbed in the stomach during attempted robbery on a moving subway. Okay. You know, to this day, I still don't know what a strap hanger is. So if you know, let me know, please. Okay. Hold on just a second. I'm going to do this read real quick. All right. And then we'll get back to the rest of the JP8 report. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and is not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech, and that's putting creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform, no pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind the scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com premium. Promo code is STUDIO. No ads, no freedom, no ads, more freedom, and content you can actually care about. That's the deal. All right. Thank y'all for letting me read that. I've been using Rumble Premium for years. Okay. So that's just something y'all can look forward to. All right. I'm not doing Rumble Premiums right now because I'm not on the creator status. Hopefully at the end of April I get this started up again. All right. All right. So meanwhile, Turning Point USA. Oh, did I tell y'all your taxes are due tomorrow? Just a friendly reminder. That's my PSA. Savannah Hernandez was assaulted at a ICE protest um, on Saturday. She was filming an anti-ICE protest, and and someone outed her as being with Turning Point USA. They were at the Whipple Federal Building, um, and she got swarmed by protesters and assaulted. Some lady with a whistle was like 6 inches from her ear, blowing into her ear with a whistle. That's a personal injury. If you've ever had a whistle blown in your ear, you know exactly um, what's going on. All right. And then she got spit on. She got knocked to the ground. And then while she was up again, someone, if you know what clipping is, it's a legal block to the upper back in football. Some big dude in blue with a man purse hung around around his shoulders, right? Clipped her and knocked her straight to the ground, and she scraped up her elbows and her knees, and then people jumped on her, was kicking her and stuff like that, and assaulted her. They're filing charges on them, especially blue sweatshirt dude. Uh, but this guy was close to 250, and he clipped her really, really good. If you don't know what clipping is, just look it up on the internet. What clipping is in football? It's a legal block to the back in football. So what was she was looking the opposite direction, and he just came up on her blind side and hit her across the upper back. And she said a little while ago that her neck and back were sore. That's usually what happens when you get clipped in football because you're not expecting it and you're hit out of nowhere. All right. TPU reporter Savannah Hernandez was attacked while covering ICE protests in Minneapolis on Saturday at the Whipple Federal Building. Protests took place over a local ICE field office that is also a detention facility. Protesters swarmed Hernandez, blowing horns in front of her face, yelling obscenities, and waving adult novelty products in front of her as she tried to cover herself and run away. An expletive here. One protester is heard repeatedly yelling at Hernandez. Hernandez escaped from a swarm of protesters and said, "Get away from me," to a protester who continued to be up close to her, and the protester then pushed Hernandez, who fell on a wired fence. Hernandez got up and attempted to leave again while yelling at protesters to get away from her. Another protester attempted to tussle with Hernandez, but she was able to escape. And she said, "Stop touching me," yelled back at the protesters. And almost immediately, a grown man is seen pushing Hernandez toward the concrete. No, she was clipped. Okay? I'll say it again. I'm glad he got arrested. Protesters continue to push Hernandez as she tried to get up and leave, and she's pushed down to the ground again. Leave me. I'm trying to leave. In the video, another individual is seen at the scene tried to help Hernandez escape the violent protesters, saying they stopped people from hitting her. Some individuals at the protest can be seen trying to calm the others down. Following this, Hernandez posted on X that she sustained minor injuries. Why does this stuff even happen? Negate the fact that she was Turning Point USA. She was covering the protest, and the protesters, instead of directing their attention to what they were protesting, went after someone that was recording the protest. It does not make sense. Where was the police when all this was happening? It looks like they were just letting free rein it at the facility. There should have been Homeland Security is they don't have a budget right now. So unless they have ERO or ICE out front of the detention facility, they really don't have too many people actually working, right? But where does the Minnesota State Police, and where does the Minneapolis Police Department, and I don't know what county it is in there? Where are all these people at that should be providing security to make sure the protesters and anti-protesters are safe and they don't bludgeon each other like just happened here? Oh, the county is Hennepin. All right, it says it right here. It says, according to Fox 9 Minneapolis, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office is investigating the incident, and reported deputies had 4 people will be charged in connection with Saturday's protest, 3 of them in connection to the assault of a journalist and a deputy. Not only did they go after the young lady, they went after a law enforcement officer. That he might go to jail, right? And then at Utah Valley University, that's the university where Charlie Kirk was when he was assassinated at, right? They're facing backlash over commencement speaker choice for commencement, right? UVU is facing backlash over its choice of a commencement speaker as critics object to her past comments about Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk following his assassination on the same campus. The university chose author and educator Sharon McMahon to address the graduating class. Days after Kirk was killed, McMahon wrote on X, millions of people feel they were harmed, and the murder that was horrific and should never have happened does not magically erase what was said or done. To many Americans, especially if you're Black, LGBTQ, or Muslim, Charlie Kirk was not a person who simply engaged in good faith debates or college campuses. That person is horrifically deceived on what she actually believes, because he was a very fair and religious, saved Christian that actually believed in what he did. And you have leftists out there, all they do is manipulate the truth, and they get a few people that are keyboard warriors to spew their hatred toward everyone that votes as a conservative or as a Republican. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should reverse course and immediately say, you know, ma'am, Miss McMahon, we did invite you, but we're probably not paying you because they're probably not. We are going to invite Erica Kirk here to give the commencement speech instead. That would be a really good recommendation to this university. So we'll see how they want to adhere to that. That was, man, I don't know what's worse, the deal with Savannah Hernandez or the decision by Utah Valley University, right? And I'm a supporter of Turning Point because I'm actually wearing the shirt and I don't care. I actually had someone one time, I was eating lunch at Chick-fil-A. This was about a month and a half ago or something. And this lady came in with 2 of her kids and she looked at me and said, do you ever get harassed for wearing the shirt? I said, no, and I really don't care. And she said, okay, well, thank you very much for wearing it. I was so shocked that she asked me that, but I don't care because I'm going to wear it because I want. I have one and my wife has one and we proudly wear it, all right? I've always liked Charlie Kirk for years and years and years, and September 10th is a day we will remember. There's only a few things people remembering dates, and that's going to be one of September 11th, 2001, and September 10th, 2025. Okay. Matter of fact, if you want a shirt like this, go to the only place you really need to go. You need to go to the charliekirkstore.com, and that's where you can get the exact shirt. And they put a 9, 10, 20, 25 on the sleeve also, right? Just so, and you can get it in red if you want, because they have red ones with white lettering, and they got the white ones with the black lettering. All right, that's my another public service announcement for the day. But Charlie Kirk was totally worth it. All right, and I really don't care if you agree with me or not. You can give me all the hate mail you want on the live chat. I don't care. All right. As we are running out of time, it's already 12:50. Let's see. We'll keep going with good news here. Remember, tomorrow morning I have VA labs, so I won't do a morning brief in the morning. I can't. There's no way, unless you want me to tape it and then produce it. Okay? If I get at least 3 people that respond on here saying, James, tape it and then put it out at 6:30, I'll do a 30-minute. I'll figure something out. Right? I'd just be. I can't eat or drink after. I can't eat anything after midnight, and I'm probably going to leave about 5:30, between 5 and 5:30 in the morning, and go get my labs done. All right. So back here, Trump endorses neighboring state lieutenant governors for re-election. So this morning, the president endorsed the re-elections for Stavros Anthony. Has been a fantastic lieutenant governor for the great state of Nevada. The president declared Monday on True Social, right? So he is the lieutenant governor of Nevada. And then also Scott Bedke is the lieutenant governor for Idaho, and he was endorsed by the president yesterday also. Scott has been the lieutenant governor. He got elected in 2016, 2020, and 2024. So he's a long-termer. And when did is this the first re-election? Okay, this might be the first re-election one for Mr. Anthony. All right. So and that'll be November when the general election is. So if you're in Idaho or Nevada, in Nevada, the president has endorsed the sitting lieutenant governors for re-election. All right. So I have no comments on there yet. All right. So what are we going here? 12:53. We're doing pretty good, guys. All right, so next. How many of y'all saw Sharon Simmons goes to the White House yesterday? And she was the grandma. She was the DoorDash grandma yesterday that took lunch up there to the president. They wanted to do an impromptu press gaggle for no tax on tips, because someone blurted out to the president they knew this DoorDash lady that got $4,000, I think it was, for her tips. Let's see. I'll go through this real quick. The lady was really cool. Matter of fact, I would not be surprised if someone started a GoFundMe for her, because her husband's recovered from cancer right now, and she's doing this for bringing extra money. And she's been a DoorDasher since 2022. All right. So President Donald Trump turned McDonald's delivery into a tax day pitch Monday, bringing a DoorDash driver to the White House to tout elimination of taxes on gratitudes, and then surprising her with a cash tip from his own pocket. He gave her a $100 cash tip. Um, let's see. Trump welcomed Arkansas native Sharon Simmons to the White House Monday, where the DoorDash delivery driver handed off 2 bags of the president's favorite fast food while promoting Trump's no tax on tips policy ahead of tax day. Let's see. Are the White House good tippers? And said, wait. And then the president handed her a tip that appeared to be a $100 tip. You reminded me, he continued, after accepting the tip. Simmons responded that the White House were very good tippers. Under the One Big Beautiful Bill, tip earners make $25,000 in tax deductible income from 2025 through 2028. And then he said, I heard you picked up an extra $11,000 that you won't get, that you wouldn't get because the big beautiful bill was so big, the refund was the biggest you've ever had. And she said she's a grandma of 10 kids, and she has completed 14,000 deliveries since 2022. But that her husband is recovering from cancer. He invited her and her husband, if he's well enough, to come to the UFC fight on Flag Day in June at the White House, free of charge. It better be free of charge, right? But a reporter at that time asked that have they considered naming, if you know anything about UFC, they always put a number by it, right? And they just had UFC fight, a UFC 327 the other day. She asked the president, was it going to be called UFC 1776? And he proceeded to tell her that was a good question and a good recommendation, and that he would have to get in touch with Dana White and ask him about that. That would be really cool, wouldn't it? I mean, that would. Hey, everyone give an American flag if you're still on there watching me, but calling it UFC 1776 would be awesome. 1776. Wait a minute. 1776. I did an improvement on it. Woohoo! All right, but that was awesome. Oh, my daughter, she's supposed to be studying for her final, and she's actually listening to the podcast. Wow. Okay, well, that's cool. I'm going to tell her thank you. If you're watching, there's COVID for life. I'm doing both. Hey, if you're proud of Rachel, she's on her final test of her final day of getting her master's degree in genetics. Tell her y'all are proud of her, or give her an American flag, because that is awesome. So by tonight, she will have no more schooling to do. So tell Rachel congratulations. She's the Rakapee, I can't even pronounce it, but that's her. All right, so we are closing in on 1 o'clock. I almost did everything I had. I had 4 articles, but I got more. I printed off tomorrow. Man, these are going to take a while. Here's a quick one. I'm not a drinker. I've never drank a day in my life, but I wanted to tell you, an appeals court in New Orleans on Friday, by a vote of 3-0 for an appeals court, declared unconstitutional the 158-year-old ban on home distilling. So what it is with people want to distill liquor, not beer, but liquor, they were forbidden by a law that was instituted in 1868. because people were trying to evade taxes, so they just made it against the law, right? And this appeals court said no. U.S. Appeals Court on Friday declared unconstitutional a nearly 158-year-old federal ban on home distilling, calling it unnecessary and improper means for Congress to exercise its power to tax. The Fifth U.S. Court of Appeals in New Orleans ruled in favor of the nonprofit Hobby Distillers Association and 4 of its 1,300 members. They argue that people should be free to distill spirits at home, whether as a hobby or for personal consumption, including, in one instance, to create apple pie vodka recipe. I don't know. I don't have a problem with making apple pie, but making vodka, I don't know. I don't drink. Like I said, I never drank. So the ban was part of a law passed during Reconstruction in 1868. Matter of fact, talking about the Civil War, the day is the day that Abraham Lincoln died in 1865. Stay tuned for more history from James. In part to thwart a liquor tax evasion, I just told you all that, and subjected violators up to 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Writing for a 3-judge panel, Circuit Judge Edith Holland Jones said the ban actually reduced tax revenue by preventing distilling in the first place, unlike laws that regulated the manufacture and labeling of distilled spirits, which the government could collect taxes. She also said that under the government's logic, Congress could criminalize virtually any in-home activity that might escape notice from tax collectors, including remote work and home-based businesses. Wonder if that includes podcasting, right? Well, the law is unconstitutional anyway. All right. So, wow. The Justice Department had no immediate compact. Another defendant, the Treasury Department's ATF, did not immediately respond to the request for comment. And Devin Watkins, the lawyer representing the Hobby Distillers Association, in an interview called the ruling an important decision about the limits of federal power. All right. Okay, cool. The initial ruling came from Fort Worth, my hometown. The decision upheld a July 2024 ruling by U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman in Fort Worth and put his ruling on hold so the government could appeal. So what probably happened was that the hobbyists won in a presidential year, which was Merrick Garland. Let's not talk about Merrick Garland and his motley crew, right? And they set up everybody in sight. But they appealed it. The appeal went through and kept on the books until most recently, a year and a half after Trump took office, the ruling came out and it was upheld. And I doubt it seriously because it brings in tax dollars from a sin tax that it would be overruled, all right? And it's appealed to the Supreme Court. This one will stay, all right? I got a comment on here. Congrats, good luck on future endeavors. Covite for life. All right, cool, man. Thank you very much. So we are after 1 o'clock. So tonight is the Coppers Cove Conservative Club at 6 p.m. at Giovanni's in Coppers Cove. And then May 2nd, we have Coryell County Republican Party at the Feed Bin. And we have a CEC there, I believe, on the 2nd of May. And then we have a meet and greet with candidates from all of our runoffs. And then up in Gatesville at the Feed Bin. And on the 12th of May, in conjunction with the Coppers Cove Conservative Club, we have another meet and greet with runoff candidates, plus maybe our state representative. I tried to get a hold of her earlier with nothing. So I'll try to call her again and confirm that. But and that'll be the 6 p.m. at Giovanni's on the 12th of May. All right. So I got to go get my hair cut in a few minutes. So I can't be late for that. And I got to drink some groceries real quick. All right. So that being said, I will see y'all tomorrow at noon when I get back from the VA. All right. So I hope everybody has a great day. I'll see some of y'all at the Four Seas tonight at 6 p.m. Thank y'all very much for tuning in. And this is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.